Now that we have our Windows 10 sandbox ready, and yes, I know it looks a little bit different, all I've done is install the drivers for my graphics card and tweak a few settings here and there just to make the environment a little bit more comfortable for myself. I've also obviously downloaded a browser, and I use Firefox, so that's my browser of choice. The next section that we're going to be tackling is we're going to install Git, and we can head over to gitscm.com and you can find the download on the page over there. You may be asking yourself, why are we wanting to install Git at this stage of the game? Surely Git would only really come into play later on, seeing as it's a source control system. Strictly speaking, that's true. However, Git actually provides us a whole host of functionality outside of pure source control, and it's this extra functionality that we actually want to tap into right now prior to getting to what Git has to offer in terms of actual source control. So let's get going with Git. And that is it. Literally accept the defaults all the way through. Don't change a thing. Just let it do its thing. And there we go. We have Git fully installed. Now let's head over to our Start taskbar, All Apps. Let's scroll down and find the Git section, and let's pull Git Bash onto the desktop to create an automatic link for us. So what is Git Bash? Well, think of a Windows command prompt on absolute steroids. Git Bash really is excellent in the sense that it allows us to wrap Unix type functionality or Linux commands and execute them on a Windows machine. If you are interested to take a look at all the types of functionality that Git can offer from this perspective, head over into the Git bin directory, and there you'll see a list of all the things that it allows us to do, things like curl, things like ls, things like touch, which are all Unix type commands. But we'll get into all of that a little bit later. When I install Git for the first time on a new system, the very first thing that I do is I need to set up some very basic configuration options. So let's run this as administrator. Say yes. It opens our bash window. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to issue a configuration command. So we say git config, and we want this configuration to be applicable globally. So we issue the global directive, and then we say the username is going to be, and you just provide a username in quotes, and the next thing, up arrow, we say the email address, and you provide the correct email address. Okay, that's it. So what Git will now do is it will bake that information into every single aspect of anything that you do from a source control perspective, which is obviously important in terms of team development, where you're merging source control repositories with other people so that people can see who's doing what, basically. So that's the very basics of Git out the way in terms of its configuration. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a functionality that comes with Git to generate some public-private SSH key pairs for ourselves. And the command for that is ssh-keygen. And we can literally step through all the questions that it's going to ask and just accept the defaults. So, yep, it's asked for a password. We're not going to provide one because we don't need it in this case. And there we go. It's gone and created our public-private key pairs, which we'll be using a little bit later on, based on the RSA encryption standard. Let's just look at what it's done on the disk. if we go to our users or our home directory under Windows and we go into the username, you'll see that it's created a .ssh directory, and in that directory sit the two public-private keys that we've created. Obviously, we can also head over to the program files area and see that Git has created a directory for itself, and this is where all the Git internals lie, if you like. So that's the very basics of Git. We've completed the first task. If you want to exit the bash window, you simply type exit and you're out. So now that we have this out the way, we can actually move on to a very interesting topic, which is that of the Oracle virtual machine provider called Oracle Virtualbox. So let's start going with that.